Welcome to Wednesday, December 21st, 2022. Actually, this is the first official day of winter, although that really doesn't mean much. And boy, though, the calendar and the weather certainly are going to match up perfectly today. This update being brought to you by Cowboy State Daily. Check them out at cowboystatedaily.com. Also brought to you by WYDOT. Winter driving conditions are coming. Be prepared. When there's ice and snow, take it slow. Well, here it comes, folks. The timing is maybe slightly ahead of schedule. As we talked yesterday, Arctic fronts a lot of times will move faster than the computer modeling suggests they will. It's slightly ahead of schedule, but the basic timing that we laid out yesterday for the region remains the same. The front is going to come from Montana and Western Canada and will come into northern Wyoming this morning. It's there already, and then just move south and east from there. We're going to see, as the Arctic front comes through your area, this is what will happen. There'll be a very strong burst of wind ahead of the front, winds gusting 40, 50 miles an hour or more. Then there will be bands of light to moderate snowfall. And then over a 6-hour period, really less than 6 hours, temperatures will drop 30 to 40 degrees in less than 6 hours. It could be 30 to 40 degrees really in 2 or 3 hours in some areas. This is where you get into a flash freeze situation. The drop is so sudden and intense, things will be getting really, really icy with these bands of snow coming. Even though the snow amounts aren't very heavy, about 1 to 3 inches in most areas, things are going to get really slick out there. And with the wind, the snow, and the plummeting temperatures, you do not want to be out and about when the Arctic front hits. It's going to be nasty. Common wind chills along and behind the front will be 40 to 55 degrees below zero. Now, there's a lot of news reports that we could have wind chills of 70 below or 60 below. We probably will, but the most common range will be that minus 40, minus 50 Fahrenheit or so. As the front goes through, we're going to have a lot of winds, not only with the front, but the winds will be very persistent and strong behind the front tomorrow and into the day on Friday, and that's when it makes this a dangerous situation because of the prolonged spell of cold and very cold wind chills. And we're going to have just enough snow, just enough to cause some real travel problems. I-25, I-80, the I-25 corridor of Colorado around rush hour this afternoon and evening is going to be a problem. Down around I-70, I-76 as well, and I-70 in the Colorado mountains. So later today and into this evening for Colorado, central and southern Wyoming, western Nebraska, into western Kansas, that's where the weather really goes south very quickly. Now, moderating temperatures will happen by the weekend. The Arctic air will push off to the east where there's going to be a big winter storm in the Midwest and the Great Lakes, but we will see relief. So we just got to get ourselves through Friday and let's say up through Saturday morning. Then we will see moderating temperatures. The pattern is going to stay active, though. So there's going to be more weather coming, more chances of snow, especially in the mountains. But the bitter cold Arctic air is not going to come back after this wave for a bit. We also have a La Nina update for you that we'll have here at the end of the podcast. Here is the latest surface chart. We see the sub-zero temperature readings basically are through Cody, through Worland, through Buffalo, Gillette, then wrapping around the Black Hills here. You can see those sub-zero temperatures. Also sneaking in some sub-zero temperatures there along the north end of the Pine Ridge. But you can see all of the sub-zero temperature readings, lots of minus 20s, lots of minus 30s in southern Canada and northwest areas of Montana. Now, over the next 2 or 3 days, post your low temperature and your location in the YouTube comment section so we can kind of keep track all across the region of how cold it gets. The coldest temperatures are going to occur early tomorrow and again probably early Friday. So post your report. Take a snapshot of your weather station. Let's see how cold it gets. Here we go with the pattern showing that very cold air mass getting further south out of the Montana-Canadian border area, and it's going to push very strongly through by tomorrow morning. Now, we showed you this yesterday. We'll show you this again today. As of 5 a.m. this morning, the purple areas, basically that purple, is going to show you where the Arctic front, generally speaking, is going to be. So this is at 5 a.m. This is at 11 a.m. Let me back up. Sorry about that. This is going to go in a 12-hour span time here. So this is for 5 a.m. This is for 5 p.m. So you can see in just 12 hours, the very quick movement of this front. That's part of the problem. It's going to move so fast. It's going to bring that blast of cold moving in very, very quickly. And this is by Thursday, 5 a.m. So in 24 hours, it goes a very big distance and overspreads that Arctic air coming on into the region. And those numbers you see are the deviations from the 30-year average in terms of below average. That's how cold it is. When you get 40, 50, or 60 degrees below average on the first day of winter, boy, that's cold. And then here's how the snow's going to unfold. The rapid movement of this front will bring this burst of snow as it comes on through. Again, those are not terribly big amounts, but it's going to be enough with that rapid drop in temperature in the wind that driving through the frontal boundary, or as the front comes through you while driving, you got to be really, really careful. So if you don't have to be out and about later today through evening, don't. Just really no reason to, because of this severity of the cold and the cold wind chills. You do not want to get stuck. These are the temperatures forecasted for 8 a.m. Mountain Time tomorrow morning. These do not include wind chill, but you can see a lot of minus 30s, lots of minus 20s. Those pink areas, you see those lighter pink shaded areas? Well, that's where a minus 40 or 2 is going to be a possibility. And then the valleys and the basins will hold a lot of this Arctic air. So overnight tomorrow night into Friday morning, there'll be similar temperature readings in some areas. There are the wind gusts associated with the Arctic front as it moves on through. Hence, the wind will be a problem with the falling snow and the falling Arctic temperatures. These are the wind chill values expected to be at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. Lots of 50s, lots of 30s, lots of minus 40s out there. By Friday noon, this is around the noontime hour on Friday, we've got the big low wrapping up in the Great Lakes, causing a lot of problems here in the upper Midwest with ice, snow, bitter cold temperatures, bitter cold wind chill values. But the Arctic air will get pushed off of the Continental Divide beginning late Friday and the Saturday. So this is by 5 p.m. Saturday. The Arctic air right here is getting pushed out a bit, and you can see where the cold air is going. So we will see temperatures moderating by the weekend. Now, speaking of the weekend, there's a little wave coming in from the northwest as we get into Christmas Day. So on Christmas Day, for parts of Montana and Wyoming and the Dakotas, you know, this area right here, later in the day on Christmas, might have a little bit of snow. And there it is. Not a lot, but there is going to be, along this wave, some snow up in the Dakotas, Montana, and parts of Wyoming and the region during Christmas Day into Christmas night. Then as we get into the middle of next week, this is next Wednesday, this is what we mean by the pattern staying active. While we don't have the Arctic air anymore, we've got the Pacific opening up. So there's going to be waves coming off the West Coast, off the Pacific and into the Rockies, and this will bring rain and snow back into California, Washington, and Oregon, and into the interior West. And this is a really good pattern to make it snow up into the mountains next week. So while the bitter cold does retreat, the pattern is going to stay busy, probably right up into the new year. This is the 10-day snowfall forecast. So this takes us through Friday, December 31st. And you can see how much snow there's going to be across the nation and getting pretty darn far south. A quick La Nina update for you. So La Nina is showing right here, but there are pockets here of weakness beginning to show up. These warmer than average sea surface temperatures in the North Pacific, really a big player. We'll talk about this next week. Really a big player in this very cold winter season we're seeing so far. But La Nina is showing chinks in its armor, and this is about when we were hoping that would happen. And the new forecast that just came out this week, the average of all the modeling continues to show the La Nina fading and going into possibly a weak El Nino, or at least a neutral status, by spring and into the early summer season. If you look at the probabilities, they've really shifted. The probabilities of La Nina continuing now really go off this graph as we get on into March, April, and May, and the probabilities of warmer sea surface temperatures in the tropics go up to where the probability of maybe a weak El Nino by summer is on the table. So the erosion of La Nina continues to show up in the modeling, and our confidence continues to grow that we can finally put it to bed by later this spring. Be ready for the front. We'll update you tomorrow. Have a good Wednesday.